All right, people, what is going on? Thank you for joining us. This is The Drop. We're at Cactus Music World headquarters, which is located in Houston, Texas. And it's, what would you say the temperature is outside, Quinn?
220.
200, surface of the sun hot. But you know the only thing hotter? The list of new music that is about to happen right now. Quinn, start us off.
We got a great list. Hey, we're going to kick it off by talking about an in-store performance that we're having this weekend on Sunday. This guy right here, Leonard Lowdown Brown, workmanship, hardworking Houston blues guy, has never, I was surprised. I thought for sure and maybe he made like a cassette tape or something. At some point. He has never made a CD, and he partnered with
here it is.
This Music Makers charity. This is such a great charity. So they are a nonprofit that artists that have not made that are working in the blues medium. They do roots music and other American,
and they help them make an album.
And they help them make an album.
That's crazy.
And that's what this is. So this
that's
is Leonard's
amazing.
First release. He's going to be on KPFT on Sunday morning on their great blues programs. You have to tune into them for details. But previewing the record, then he's going to be here at 3 p.m. Rockin the Record Store, St. Arnold in the house. You can have a complimentary beverage and hear one of Houston's finest. I remember when he was the young guy. He's not the young guy.
He's not the young guy anymore. Yeah.
That's the thing.
What does that tell you
about the blues? Like you gotta pay your dues.
What does that tell you?
Dues have been paid, and this is Leonard's debut album.
That's amazing.
We're thrilled to have him. So come out on Sunday. It is going to be fun.
That is fantastic. So obviously Daddario's involved.
Yeah. So Daddario and other music instruments companies
lending their name.
They're throwing some money in there, making sure these guys get to make a record.
That's so important.
And with roots music, with blues and like bluegrass and anything that's kind of that, we'll call it Americana, not as a genre, but just
blue
as
collar
classic American music.
Man.
The CD is still really, really popular, and I think it's just because those fans want to support those artists, and they know the best way to do it is by giving them, $15 or $20 at the merch table.
That's right.
Gas
Buy
in
a shirt.
Band. That's gas in the van. That is pays a band. Pays some band.
You might get to eat that
night. You might get to eat that night. So, anyways, come on down on Sunday. It's going to be great.
I love it.
And now let's get to the list. We got some good stuff here. We have the return of Cat Stevens, Yusuf. Records have been listed as just Yusuf, but they've finally gotten hip to the fact that if you say that it's Cat Stevens, it might probably jump off the racks a little bit.
Yeah. It was Yusuf Islam for a while, right?
Yeah. And so his albums, I will say this about him, by him taking, with him kind of embracing his faith and not making secular music for decades.
Right.
His voice is amazing.
I was thinking about the same thing. Perfectly preserved. Yeah, it could be 1972.
He's one of the few guys you can say, if you were a fan of Cat Stevens and you bought a new record by him, you're going to be impressed that sonically it sounds like he did back in the day. Same poetic songwriting, same great acoustic, rock.
Beautiful melodies.
Yeah.
Right out of the box, first two songs, Train on a Hill, King of Land. It's exactly what you would think a Cat Stevens record sounds like.
Yeah. What you want to hear. And getting great reviews. He partnered with Peter H. Reynolds, who's an acclaimed illustrator, to do and it comes with a book on the inside that there's an illustration for each song. So there you go.
Yeah. It has kind of that playful, childish kind of childlike vibe.
There's a concept at play there too.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Pagan Run's really good too. I like that one. Yeah. All right. Good album. Yep. Good one for Yusuf.
All right. And you can almost always count on, 4 or 5 Flaming Lips records released a year. This pulls from the Yoshimi box set. Yoshimi battles the Pink Robots. They put out a big box set.
We talked about that. Yeah.
We talked about it on the drop. And so they pulled content from that for the standalone LP because they thought all this stuff stood well together. And featuring the 24-minute track Psychedelic Hypnotist Daydream, which is pretty cool. It's a demo that kind of morphed into something else on the record, but this is one of the tracks that couldn't fit on the album. So I guess they want to elevate that track. And what you get here that is really good, there's only 4 songs, but they're all pretty long. Well, you got one takes up a whole side. I think that the real winner here is the instrumental version of Do You Realize?
Yeah, I saw that.
Which it's such an amazing track, and you
song.
continue to hear it licensed in TV
Everywhere.
and film, and usually talking about heavy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great positive track.
If you are one of those completists and
This
you
is for
need
you.
everything, you have to have this.
And I'll say, so with their archive releases, some are stronger than others. I think this track is really great.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
check that out. Okay, let's talk about Jelly Roll.
Mhm.
So Jelly Roll, you know,
Interesting
huge-
cat.
Yeah, interesting cat. Probably one of the artists that you can point to that has merged genres together like nobody else has. Technically, country art are on the
Mhm.
country charts, but you know, working with Yellow Wolf as well as Lainey Wilson, and Brennen Gilbert. Big strong voice, big voice. This is his album, Whitsitt Chapel, which is the church that he frequented when he was a younger man.
Definitely some gospel in his voice.
Definitely some gospel in his voice. He's a really strong singer, and you know, this is an unusual phenomenon, which is, I'm sure, going to continue. We saw it before with Lil Nas X and some other artists that were combining hip-hop
Country,
elements
yeah.
with country.
A little bit of that in kind of Hardy's sound.
Yeah,
He's got
for
a little
sure.
country, a little rap, little new metal. I don't even know what's going on. Kind of Kid Rockish in some parts.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah. And this dude's getting a lot of pub right now, and rightly so, because he's doing some things. So good.
So
for Jelly
Billboard magazine has an emerging artist that's basically for new artists. They have
Right.
a chart. He said the record is 25 weeks at number one on that chart,
Good
which
for
is
him.
pretty
Good
crazy.
for him.
So look out for him. He's going to
Good
be
for
doing
him.
more stuff.
Yep.
This is a guy that
Yes.
both me and Ruben love. And
Excited
we
about this.
always get excited to talk about him because he's a monster.
God.
He's a monster. He's cool. This is Warren Haynes and the brand new Government Mule record, Like a River, on Indie Store exclusive colored vinyl. And I don't know, what's your thoughts on?
Well, I'll tell you, just go to track number 2. I was listening to it. It's Shake Our Way Out, featuring Billy Gibbons. You know it's Billy Gibbons 3 seconds into those guitar notes. But, you know, you talk about a formidable player in Warren Haynes. You know, he's been doing it for so long. Traditionally, Les Paul player. You know, he's just, the dude is just a monster. Killer slide player.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is how we got the gig in Almond.
Right.
They're like,
Right.
You got it.
Really good with the riffy stuff. Can blow leads over anything. And the band itself, and I think for this tour, I think he's carrying something like 6 Les Pauls that are all in different tunings.
Oh my
They've written in a bunch of, because some of it's for slide work, some of it's just for the.
His guitar tech was excited to get that news.
Yeah, he says we're taking 17 guitars because I'm not retuning anything live. Yeah, everything I heard on this is great, man. First track, Warren's voice sounds great.
He's a great singer.
You know, and he's getting up there now. I mean, he's not a youngster.
He was the young guy. He's the guy that, I mean, you can really, you know, as well as Derek Trucks, you can say, man, these guys gave the Allman Brothers a new lease on life.
Yeah, they did after Dickie Betts.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's like one of the best guitar players in the modern era, and now settled into.
Yeah.
He consistently makes great records. I'm always surprised that maybe in cities with more progressive radio, you just don't really, for somebody who I think is tailor-made for like classic rock radio,
Yeah.
he gets no love.
And even on iTunes, where it tells you the genre, this is Southern rock.
Yeah, and
So,
this record
like,
is this record is blues, it's folk, it's like
it's rock.
psychedelic.
Yeah, it's
like
big
even like
riff
there's
rock.
like chamber music
Yeah.
at times on there.
Yeah.
He's all over. And the great Ruthie Foster from Houston is on guests on this record. She's a great
Yeah,
vocalist.
you've
and
got Ivan
it
Neville
works.
with Ruthie Foster, and just for good measure, Billy Bob Thornton
Yeah, throw him in there.
on a track. Ladies love him.
He was Bad Santa, you know.
He was Bad Santa.
He was
One of
Bad
my
Santa.
top
Love it.
Santa holiday movies.
I only watch it at least 3 times a year, usually maybe 3
Now I
times
want to
in a
watch.
week.
Yeah, now I want to watch it.
Deer Tick. They have their, for those of you who don't know, Americana band. This is their debut for ATO Records, which is a label management company, whatever, that they have a lot of great artists, most notably Alabama Shakes, and a bunch of others. But new album, Emotional Contracts. This is like a more collaborative record than the previous records by them. You have Steve Berlin from Los Lobos, Vanessa Carlton.
This one surprised me.
Cam Franklin. Cam Franklin's on this record.
Oh, Cam's on here? Right on. Shout out. H-Town. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Great band, good live, and the greatest, one of the best calls I've ever gotten from an artist about an in-store.
And what was that call?
They were, as many artists route to Houston out of New Orleans, where they were playing the store. It was on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to perform at like 5.
Yeah.
I get a call at like 11 in the morning from him, and he's like, due to circumstances involving alcohol, illegal substances, and women, we are going to be late for our in-store. I'm like, you're calling me 6 hours in advance. You already know.
How late were they?
Not very. I mean, I think they didn't have enough faith in their truck.
But you know, that's just good business ethics.
It's good business. It was funny, and that was the extent of our phone. He's like, we'll see you
Goodbye.
Then. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Like, he just checked the box. He had to do it. That's good.
I love it.
So here's an
I have something to say about this.
So this is interesting. There are a lot of bands, especially of the let's say post-rock emo era, that are re-recording their albums. Right. You notice this?
No.
So
and
Thrice,
I didn't know that that's what was happening.
Thrice is doing it. This is the artist.
Now, is it because of
Revisited?
Is because like what Taylor went through, because she wanted total ownership of her material?
Not in this case, because they said that
they wanted the better sound quality.
They just wanted to do it. They wanted to do it.
Hey, we love these songs.
Yeah.
We think that's a moment.
Defining
hell
moment,
yeah, man. Come on.
Defining moment for the band, and they just said this is what they want to do. Very limited pressing of this. I think there's on like 600.
And I can't say this about too many artists or bands of this genre. I always thought that they should be bigger than they were.
I thought that they were going to punch through it.
Yeah, and exactly.
They kind of stayed just in their level, but they were hugely
great band.
Influential. I mean, you heard a lot more bands that sounded like them after they hit that
sometimes it just sounds like straight up kind of just good kind of American punk, and then sometimes it sounds like a heavier Foo Fighters, and sometimes they do something like, what was the track? Is it Black Honey? What was the track? The that one got the most play of.
I'm terrible.
God, I suck with that anyway. Yeah, but great.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
So check it out.
You're gonna like it.
You can compare and contrast.
I heard
the original
most of it,
20-year-old recording with the new one, and
loved it.
See how the old guys are doing. Mike DeMarco, 5 Easy Hot Dogs. This is on the finally on vinyl. The portion of the program. This came out in January, February, I believe, and now it's just finally on vinyl. And for his fan base, they are all about records and not CDs, so it's good that it's finally out there. But you need to know this: he recorded this during the pandemic, driving like Pacific Coast Highway or whatever, taking photos, writing songs. This is an all-instrumental album, kind of a stopgap record for him. I think artists sometimes do this kind of thing if their fans will do it to kind of take the pressure off your next studio record.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea, and people love him.
Yes, they do.
I think we've talked about this before in the drop. I consider him to be the Jimmy Buffett of indie rock.
And and full disclosure, I've told you this before. I've tried to connect with, and I keep missing it. I don't know what it is. Maybe my pea brain can't handle the artistry or what he's doing.
Maybe you got it, and you just don't want it.
Okay, all right.
How about that? And I can neither confirm nor deny that. I feel the same way about it.
Read the disclaimer.
Okay,
read the legal disclaimer.
Favorite female Texas recording artist. This is Brennen Leigh. Ain't Through Honky Tonkin' Yet. I love the title, and man,
this is incredible.
The title of the first song is one of my favorites.
Running Out of Hope, Arkansas. Yeah, it's a great track. And then Somebody's Drinking About You. It's fantastic. It's wonderful.
She has a group. She made a couple of duet records that were mostly covers, and that record was we always listened to great music while we're cooking, and that record just kept coming up in rotation for 2 years. We listened to that record. She has a terrific voice.
It's just that old good country.
Yeah, and she's on the Signature Sound label. I really, she's been making records for 20 years now, or most of that, and I honestly thought that she was going to really pop through and end up being a big artist. And for whatever reason, things happen or don't happen. I'm just glad she's still making records, and a lot of guests on this record.
Rodney Crowell doing some backup vocals. You've got Marty Stewart dropping in on a little mandolin. That doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and she's really within the artist community thought highly of.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes when you see artists that kind of stay at an indie level, it has nothing to do with the music, why that happens.
Sure.
There's other stuff going on, but she's great. Check her out because that is a great soundtrack for whatever you're doing.
Pick of the week.
This weekend. All right, man. I'm doing it to you again. It's brand new. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. This is Ice, Deaths, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms.
If
Lava.
we consider their timeline of release, just since we started this show, it's been an ice age since we've seen anything from.
When you have so many albums that I can't even consider you to be included in the drop because you would be in there every week,
Right.
Talk about feeding the fan base. They've got to be stuffed at this point. So, but this is a new studio record. Though it is a live in the studio record. I kind of dig the process that they were working with here. So what they did was they just jammed for 7 days straight.
Yeah.
And then edited out whatever they thought was
They
usable.
didn't like, and then just kept it.
And then just like they had ideas for song titles because I guess it's mostly all instrumental and just put random song titles and stuff, and that's their new album.
Good luck when they have to go back and play this live.
I mean,
They're like, wait a minute, what song was that?
we've talked about them a lot. Cover art's great. I kind of don't get it, but I'm glad they do what they do, and the people that are into it are way into it, and that's cool too. I'm never going to be critical of modern psychedelic music. I'm just glad that it's out there. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't get it. There's something going on there. I just can't figure
a
it out.
song popped into my YouTube feed, and I listened to it, and it was these guys, and I liked it. I was like, wow, this is weird.
Yeah, there's stuff that
I
pops up.
like this. But then there's a lot of stuff that I miss it.
You're seeing for artists and product managers, notice how much trouble if you do an elaborate package, it can be problematic for television hosts to grapple with. Okay, ready for the rockin' reissues?
Hell yeah.
These are for you, my man.
Come on, brother. Thank you.
This is available in vinyl and other CD formats, but this is the box set. This is Black Sabbath, Live Evil Throw the Horns, Pro.
Yeah.
This was I can't remember what year this recorded. This was followed Mob Rules. They did a live record, I think, while they had already kind of split and were figuring out what the heck they were going to do next. They put out this live album. Great live album. I bought it when it came out. Really kind of distills the best tracks, as well as it's always interesting to hear Dio sing those Aussie tracks, right?
Yeah, of course.
And,
100%.
So you get the original album plus like a 40th anniversary remix. I personally remember it sounding kind of muddy back in the day.
Yeah.
Curious they recorrected that. And then you get a bunch of, in the box set, you get a bunch of cool, like you get a tour program that's been recreated and stuff like that. So fun. Sabbath fans are always looking for something cool. And this is
1982 Mob Rules tour,
there you go.
which I saw. Yep. Cool.
That was
That's
good.
fantastic.
We were both there. Sam Houston Coliseum.
Hell
everybody.
yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay. Next up.
Keeping it heavy.
We're keeping it heavy.
Keeping
We're
it heavy.
And these are some really interesting records from a band that, people are familiar with this band, but they may not be familiar with these records. These are the Scorpions, In Trance, Virgin Killer, and Taken by Force. What you need to know, this is before the Matthias Jabs guy joins the band. This is Uli John Roth.
Yeah.
He's the lead guitar player who is we can say Hendrix devotee.
Sure.
All these records are very, they had records prior to this. These are like the trio of the most highly regarded records with Uli in the band. This In Trance record, I love this record. They're really kind of psychedelic and out there. He's a Grammy bar crazy guy, right?
And super proggy.
Yeah, they're very proggy, but they had this distinctive thing about these records that I like. The drum and bass sound is very distinctive. It's they sound
Francis Bouchot.
There were a lot of records of that era sound kind of the rock records sound kind of muddy. Those records sound bright.
Yeah.
And cool. Great songs. Check them out if you're not
Great
familiar
band.
with that. The band from that era, everybody knows the hits.
Sure.
This is in the States. This is kind of pre-hits, but
They were putting out albums before Blackout. So just
indeed they were. Okay. Now we got some hip hop reissues coming.
Please.
Are you ready for this?
Come on.
We're gonna kick it up with a Lil Wayne.
There we
with
go.
Carter.
There we go.
3. I would advise against getting face tattoos for your baby, but that's just me.
Wasn't he talking to the NFL about possibly doing the NFL
I don't know.
God, I think that's what I heard.
That'd be cool. He's a cool artist. So this is
I
his
would
6th album. It was like that was kind of like when mixtapes were released as albums. So it's kind of argued whether what this
Got
is
a lot
here.
of people on here, man.
Yeah,
and this is
2008.
crazy. So check this out. You've got Jay-Z on a track. You've got T-Pain. You've got Babyface. You've got Robin Thicke, Busta Rhymes. That's incredible. And more.
This was one of the most anticipated records of 2008.
For sure.
It was one of the first records to sell.
For sure.
Hip hop records to sell 1 million albums in a week.
God.
Debuted at #1. It was you couldn't get away from it. It was a big record for him. And I'm just going to say, by all these records we're talking about here, these hip hop records, all your record stores that are worth their salt, their hip hop section should be like expanding and blowing wide open, because with this new capacity and new pressing plants coming online, they're finally
Stuff is
catching
dropping
up.
all the time.
Yeah, they're going back to
Stuff is
classic
dropping
catalog that
all
has
the
just
time.
not been available.
And
on vinyl.
we're in the middle of Hip Hop 50th Anniversary, the series.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
we've been talking about.
We will talk about that, which is just such a good job of validating, prompting fans to revisit the classic albums, and also validating the records that didn't really find an audience to begin with.
And I think if you're more of a casual fan, and not trying to say that I have deep knowledge of the genre, but if you do the math, you're like, wait a minute, that's not 50 years. Yeah. Well, you have to go back to 73.
Yeah.
And Cool Herc's basement parties were a lot of the kind of genesis of MC DJ started. So that's what they consider the starting point, and that's why it's 50
I think
years. That's why it's 50
right
years.
On.
Yep.
Right on.
Yep.
Next up, Madlib Shades of Blue.
Yes, sir.
So this is such a cool record, and this, I think, validated hip hop music for a lot of older music fans. This was released on Blue Note, and they let him. He was such.
I didn't know it was on Blue Note.
Yeah, he was so great at creating tracks that they gave him access to the Blue Note vaults, and he mixed up remixes of all this classic,
obviously
music.
Shades of Blue.
You could. Andrew Hill and
Stepping Into Tomorrow.
Yeah, man. So a bunch of like the most well-known Blue Note tracks really get the Madlib treatment, and it is a fun, cool record, and it really set a standard that a lot of other people followed afterwards. It's a hugely influential record.
Good pick there.
2003, man. 2003.
Taking it back.
Okay, we're going to end with Lil' Kim, Hardcore.
Yes, sir.
Man, this was such a huge record. This is part of the Hip Hop 50 series. And again, this is one of those records, like it's just coming available again. This record should have been available ongoing all the time. And now it is. Hit you got No Time, Crush on You.
Biggie's got a production credit on here.
Biggie, I think, executive producer or producer. I'm not really,
producer. No,
not really sure.
Yeah. That's nuts, man. Look at that.
It was a big record. Double platinum, and this, that's really the era where you started to see hip hop artists have like these million-selling records.
Dude, and everybody's on here too. Exactly what you'd expect. Diddy's on here, obviously Notorious B.I.G., Jermaine Dupri, Jay-Z. Yeah, man.
And hold on. What you got
Can't
there?
even see. Champagne on Ice, colored vinyl, baby. Which is a great lyric that works perfectly. Kids, do not pour your champagne. Chill it on ice.
Do not
get it to the perfect
this.
temperature, then pour it in a champagne glass and enjoy responsibly.
Okay, this is fun.
If you have some caviar,
go ahead and do
mind.
that too. Don't add the grape juice to the Dom Perignon either, right? That was a while.
God,
they did it. It was happening.
Okay, all right.
Okay, this is cool. We're doing for our jazz reissue portion of the program. We're going to feature 2 modern era records by pianists that you need to hear these records.
Yes.
These are great records. This is Brennen Leigh. His record Largo. I will tell you, if he is not one of the greatest living pianists, he's in the top 5. He is an unbelievable player, great interpreter, can play, plays piano. His B3 records are cool. His trio records are fantastic. This was
First time on vinyl.
Yeah, first time on vinyl. 20 years old. And the thing that's really interesting about this record is produced by John Bryan, which Largo was kind of his club where a lot of people play. Amy Mann.
Yeah.
What's his name?
It's a very interesting choice of songs too.
Yeah, and this really kind of, because and both these guys interpreted a lot of these same, that we're going to talk about. Some of those tracks, that was the track you kind of heard.
Of course, yeah.
That's the track that you heard.
Yeah, I love it.
Version of Dear Prudence, but also Paranoid Android, and great record. Really and helped him connect with the rock audience. And this is generally, if you read Jazz List, that is one of the best records released in the last 25 years.
Really?
Which is saying something.
Yes, sir.
Next, Robert Glasper.
The great Robert Glasper.
Great Robert Glasper.
This dude's just a
from
bad
Houston,
man.
Texas, HSPVA,
Correct.
TSU.
That's it.
Alum.
Shout it out. Respect.
This record really said, hey, world, man, there's a brand new guy on the scene that is ready to redefine it. 5-time Grammy winner.
He is a bad
this
man.
was his debut for Blue Note from 2007.
Yeah.
I dig this record a lot. I loved it when it came out. A couple of cool tracks on there. Tribute to his mother, obviously called Tribute. And then there's a tribute to Dilla on there too, called Dillitude and a Dillalude. So it's like an interlude that is Dilla friendly, but it also
love it.
He later became a much more about mixing things up with hip hop. This is like more, straight ahead jazz record, but great. It's been fun to see where he goes, and I'm curious what he's going to keep doing because it's going to be great. Robert Glasper.
Yeah.
Those just out on vinyl. Check them out. Mastered in analog, so the music hasn't touched a computer.
I love it.
You know it's going to sound good. And now,
I love that.
This is the part of the program where we step into the vinyl vault.
The vinyl vault, is that where we are?
We need a sound.
Tell everybody first of all what the vinyl vault is, because we started this it's not that old.
We just threw
now.
it in there, yeah. It started this for season 3, and we alternate picking a classic album that we, for whatever reason, we think you need to know about. It might be a little bit of more academic. Like, look at this weird archival piece that came out that kind of changed how either packaging or record making was done, or just a record that we love. And Ruben brought a record that he loves that I happen to love too. Yes,
we had a great one last. If you get a chance and you go onto the YouTube channel, check out last week's drop, because there was a fascinating Beatles vinyl vault. All right, so here's my pick. I'm taking it out of this. So this is Pinkerton by Weezer. And you know the story, because when this album came out, it was pretty much universally panned, because Weezer fans that were the Sweater Song, that were Say It Isn't So, that were, that was like
more Buddy Holly.
They're like, this is not my Weezer.
Yeah.
What are they doing? El Scorcho was the single, very confusing, but there isn't a bad song on here. This record goes start to finish. It is beautifully wacky, melodic. I think it's some of the best lyrics for me that Rivers ever wrote. It's got that playfulness. He's sardonic at times. Everything flows. It's not like he's trying too hard. Each song is its own little story that just works perfectly for me. I don't know. I love every single thing about this album. And I think 20 years later, was it Rolling Stone that re-reviewed it?
Yeah.
5 stars.
Because Rolling Stone in '96, they said it was they would rank their worst albums.
Yeah.
It was like the number 3 worst album of the year.
Yeah.
Flash forward 20 years later, undeniable classic. I tell you why I love this record. It's, and I think the band has cooled in this area,
100%.
but for artistry's sake, with your sophomore album, to set a tone like this, like, you're not going to know what to expect for us to do. We're not going to repeat what we did before. Yeah. And another great band of the same time that did that was Radiohead. They had a huge hit with their first record, and then for their second,
they were not going to do Pablo Honey again.
No, they just pretty much said, and their label was very cautious to say, hey, throw out all your expectations of what they did before. This is the band. They're artists and they're going to do what they want to do. This band did it. And revisionist history, and I think it's pretty much accepted that this is one of the like classic albums, and it's an album that the band will always be judged by, I think.
Yeah.
But it was a commercial. The label was freaking out when it came out. It's like, oh my God, this thing is sinking like a stone. Nobody cares.
Dude, look, oh my God. Everything on here is just amazing.
But they had a problematic start. So they were trying to do this record in between when Rivers was like in school at Harvard or whatever.
Yeah.
There's, sophomore albums are always problematic.
Yeah.
And I think it is a good move. I mean, if they had tried to do what they did before, we would still not be talking about them. But by making a bold move with their second record, they kept people guessing, and they are for real. So,
yes, absolutely. It's a great record. If you've never heard it, and even if you're like, I like that one Weezer song or whatever, check this out because you're going to love it. There's a lot of good stuff.
And it's kind of conceptual, where the first record was like a bag of songs and whatever.
Yes.
Same as Radiohead.
Yes.
Second record's conceptual, right? I mean, it's...
Ben's is my favorite Radiohead album.
I like that one, too.
It's my favorite album. All right, so that does it. I think we covered it. And are we going to wear similar colored shirts next week?
I don't know.
So I'll send out. I think we should go with like baby blue or something and see what happens. All right, guys, that does it for us. We're coming up once again this weekend.
Leonard Lowdown Brown at Cactus, 3 p.m. on Sunday. You can listen to him earlier in the day on KPFT on their programming, hear a little bit of that, and then come see him rock the
free show,
store.
free beer,
free show.
All right, people, we're out of here. We'll see you next week. Peace.
We didn't even plan that.
No, we didn't. It looked amazing.